Hey everybody, I'm Monty Mont, and I want to thank you for investing in the Shareholders podcast. Man, God is good. It's just good to be back with you guys, and I'm telling you what, enjoying doing this because I'm meeting some amazing people and hearing some amazing stories, and hopefully you're being helped. Actually, I know you are because I've gotten great feedback. Um, and shout out to my man Dominique from last week who gave us some great gems just in terms of finance and things like that. I have a great guest here today. Not a person I just met. We've kind of known each other through social media for some years, and I can
Long
actually,
time.
yeah. But I'm so glad she took some time to come on. Her name is Denisha Smith. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm
It's
doing great.
finally nice to actually see and talk to you.
Right, right. Aside from social media and stuff like that, yes. So we wanted to talk today because you know, again, it's I don't know how many years, but it's been a few years where we've just kind of followed each other. But you know how it is. Y'all know how it is on social media. You got people you cool with, but you just know them, and you kind of begat a amazing transformation. Um, but I want to
Thank
first
you.
kind of talk to yeah, and I want to first kind of talk to all you're doing. I mean, you are uh, a model, and you do a travel blog, and you're a brand ambassador, and you have a lot of different things going on. And I'll always like to ask guests who come on the Shareholders podcast, where did the entrepreneurial spirit come from? Is that something you've always had, or is it where sometimes crisis happens in our lives and we just got to hustle, or how, where did that cultivate in you?
I definitely have to say that there has been some very, very dark times in my life where I've had to pull myself out of a deep, dark hole. And I've been my own, motivator, my own, pusher and things like that. For the most part, my spirit comes from just wanting to do better in life. Like with my progression, I found that I'm more so, positive and just more so spiritual and things like that. And so when it comes to what I'm doing now, I grab from all types of different, motivation. Like people I just meet throughout the day. Like I grab motivation from them. I talk to people at my job and the different things that they do help me to build my brand and my business and things like that. So I mean it comes from all different walks of life and areas. I'll say that.
Yeah, yeah. So for you personally, so like I said, I want to get to your change. You literally went through a huge physical change in your body.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask you first, what even prompted you to kind of, want to change, you know, your body and kind of and lose a lot of weight? Where was there a wake up call for you, or just kind of something you felt it was time for?
Yeah, it was a major wake up call health wise. Well, my journey actually started 10 years ago where I decided, I got on the scale and I saw I was like close to 300 pounds. And I was like, oh my God, like this cannot be my life. Right. And this is like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so what I started to do was eat healthy. I started to work out. I started to make that lifestyle change. And I was able to lose the weight on my own. But then time went by and then 2018 came and I had so many health issues dealing with my weight and seeing different doctors, and all of them were telling me the same thing. You need to lose weight because if you don't, you're going to continue to have these health issues. So one of my doctors, she suggested to get the gastric sleeve. At this time, I was dealing with endometrial hyperplasia, which is like precancerous cells.
Mm.
And so she was saying that if I did not lose weight, that it can possibly turn into cancer. So I'm like, at this point, oh my God, I got to do something really fast. Like what I'm doing is not enough. I need the extra help. So I elected to get the surgery. And so I got the gastric sleeve in 2018. Yeah, like in July of 2018. And since then, it has been a lot of changes. Difficult, some good, but for the most part, good.
So that's I was gonna look it up because you told me about it before, but now it's like no, I want to actually I'm gonna be just like a regular person who doesn't know anything
Yeah.
about it. So what does that entail? Like, you don't have to give us every major detail, but what does that mean, the gastric sleeve? Like what do they do and what does it do for your body?
Right. So Basically, what they do is they take your stomach and they slit it into a sleeve, and so they remove the rest of that stomach. And so during that time, basically, you can only take in, very, very little food. So I guess it depends on who you are and like your doctor and things like that. I've had a really great doctor out here in Houston. And I'm going to tell you, when he did my surgery, he did it really, really good, to the point where right now I'm still dealing with certain issues as though I was, post op, like a few months out.
Uh,
But for the most part, basically, it just restricts a lot of your eating. And when I went in to get the surgery, I also had to have a hiatal hernia repair. And so with that caused me to have difficulty breathing, swallowing,
wow.
anything dealing with eating and going down, I could not for like 6 months. So it was a struggle. It was a struggle, but not many people have those issues. So with me, I had those issues. Everybody is different, but that's basically the sum up of what the gastric sleeve is. It's
Mm.
just a sleeve of the stomach. So
And that was actually going to be my next question, was what the things you went through, was that normal? But you're saying yours was more kind of an extreme. Um,
I didn't think they were normal. I honestly, when I'll tell you, the first week after I got out the hospital, I was like really trying to convince myself that I did not make a mistake, because I went through a very tough time, but I had my family with me. My family, my older sister and my mom was there to, like, kind of monitor me and things like that, because I had to be put on steroids, a
wow.
couple of weeks after, coming out of the surgery, because I wasn't eating anything. I wasn't hardly drinking anything. I had no energy to do anything. And so the doctor is basically saying that when, I guess the bottom of your stomach that falls into the intestines, how I'm explaining it. They were saying that it was really restricted. So I had to go through taking the steroids that helped me to gain some of my strength back. And then I had to make sure I was taking certain types of like vitamins and things like that that was supposed to help me. And I had to do that for like a week before I actually felt like, okay, I'm semi okay.
Mm.
But just to sum everything up, it took me at least a good, maybe, I want to say 6 to 7 months for me to feel like a normal person again. And
Wow.
maybe a little bit longer than that, because I was going through so many issues back and forth to the doctor, but it's a long story.
So is there kind of we're talking about the physical part of it, but like mentally, what is kind of, because again, you weren't, as you describe it, it wasn't just like, oh man, I want to look pretty and lose some weight. Like it really was a health crisis for you to do this. But then, afterward, with some of the things you went through, what was the mental toll like that you were going through?
Mentally, I'm not even gonna lie. I had nights where I was crying myself to sleep. I was just so, I was upset at myself because I was going through so many issues, and I was like, well, I've seen other people and they didn't have these issues, and I'm just going through a hard time.
Yeah.
And mentally, it really put me in a space mentally where I just could not think of anything positive. I could not think past get myself out of the woods and, you know what I mean, past this hard hurdle to jump over, so it took me some time. It took my family to help me. It took, my friends to help me and come visit me to like kind of get me out of that, not really depressed, but more so like I was just feeling sad and down about myself. Like I had to choose this in order to prolong my life, and other people don't have to go through this. But it took me some time to get out of that dark headspace. And so once I started to feel better, once I started to do better, like my mental state started to really, form into a more positive state, basically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it took me some time. But like, if you don't have the support of your family, of your loved ones, or whatever, like it's gonna be tough, but you'll eventually get out of it. And I did. So,
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's funny because again, just from a social media friend like me, I remember I saw you, and then all of a sudden, for a while I didn't see you, and then you came back and you look so different, and I was like, wow,
right?
and black folks, our first thing is, you all right? You doing okay? You lost so much weight?
People were like, girl, is you okay? Where's you at? And like going back to the mental part, like you have to take time away from social media, away from like the forums where you're reading about, all of these things that can affect you mentally. And I had to really just put myself in a bubble, and I was just with my family. And then when I was with them for like the first 2 months, I came home and was by myself completely, just, solo dolo.
Yeah.
And it helped me, you know what I mean, a little bit. I mean, I still was kind of like fighting mentally to stay positive and not think about all the negative things. But, like I said, eventually I gave myself the time to, to heal and get out of the woodworks. And, I was cool after that.
So where you are now, what is your lifestyle in terms of maintaining? I mean, you look great, and
Thank you.
I didn't look great before, but you look more now. You're healthier. But what is kind of your lifestyle for maintaining? Because I've seen some instances where people had the surgery, but then they kind of went back, which was like wow. But what are you doing to maintain and stay healthy and feel good?
I definitely keep, well, I definitely work out. I make sure that I maintain at least 3 days a week. Before the first year or so, I was doing like 5 days a week. And
Wow.
then once I lost so much weight, I've already lost like 100 pounds so far. And once I lost so much weight to where my mom and my sister and my friends was like, girl, you're getting too skinny. Then I started to slow it down. And I'm like, okay, now it's just focusing on the nutrition. I can say the working out is fun. You can always find ways to like, make it fun and make it entertaining. But the nutrition is the hardest part. And when it comes to a lifestyle change, if you're an emotional eater and the way that you get over things is by consuming things, whatever your vice is, it could be drugs, it could be alcohol, food. Mine was food.
Mhm.
Um, if you're that type of person, you're not going to be able to handle this lifestyle change. It is not a temporary thing, it is a lifestyle forever. And so my doctor told me this. This is why they make you go through 6 months of, not necessarily therapy, but you got to talk to a psychiatrist. You have to do nutritional classes. You have to make sure that you lose weight on your own so that the doctor knows that you are mentally prepared to live out the rest of your life like this. And some people that I've heard too have had the surgery, and then a couple of months after their surgery, they're out eating Popeyes and you know what I mean, and soul food, and that sounds good. But I'm like, how were y'all able to do this? Because when I was out in 6 months, I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't even eat food. So it's like, how is it that you guys are getting this surgery? What's the point of getting surgery? Anyways, I digress. It's a lifestyle change. If you're not ready for it, don't do it. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, that so you guys are hearing this from somebody that's been through it. I hear some people think like it's a quick fix, and I'm gonna just,
Yeah,
child, let me do that, and then like you say, then they back out eating the stuff that got them into trouble in the first place. But
right.
it really has to be a lifestyle change. So where you are now with all that you've been through, and you finally come on the other side of it now. Just for professionally, what is now in your future? Do you feel like because of this and now your health is better, more doors are being open for you?
I do feel that more doors are being, not necessarily just because of me losing weight, but just because of just where my mental state is. I'm thinking more so along the lines of it's positive. You know what I mean? Positive vibes all the way. Like opportunity flows within me, if I believe it, right?
Yeah.
So basically, with me and my career, where I want to take it is now that I am more comfortable in my body now. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I worked hard
Yeah.
on my body. So now I want to transition into doing more modeling. Of course, I stopped. COVID 2020 does not exist to me. In 2019 and 2018 was me getting me mentally and physically prepared for what is now. So like if I can push more towards modeling, towards my traveling and blogging and things like that. Also working on my podcast coming out really soon with my
Hey,
friend.
all right. All
Yeah,
right.
we're partnering up, and we're gonna have us our little business venture going, that lane. And so it's just the sky's the limit for me. When you're feeling good mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, like everything is possible.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. So let me ask you the big question then. would you recommend the surgery for now? Again, your situation was different because it was really a need based, but a lot of people are like, I just want to look better and all that, which is, I'm not, that's fine, but
Yes.
would you recommend the surgery if for somebody who maybe came and asked you personally?
I would have to talk to that person first, have a conversation about it. Just
Mhm.
a conversation alone with that one person will help me to determine whether I would suggest it or not. So I would say for me, it has helped me out, not just health wise, but just mentally wise too. And if you are a person that's not willing to give up some of the things in your past, like we said, emotional eating and things like that, then I wouldn't suggest doing it because you're not ready. You're not ready to change your life.
Yeah.
And so it will probably take a person like me to go through having to go back and forth to the doctor to be like, okay, I have to do something now. So if you're like me, I would suggest it. I would definitely say that it is something that it will help you out, not only just physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally. It's going to put you in a different mind space because how I was, as my friend, my homeboy called me Fat D, how I was as being Fat D, is different from how I am being, me now. You know what I mean? Nisha.
Yeah.
So it's just, it depends. I definitely say it's something to think about if you are obese and you're dealing with health issues. Definitely consider it, research it first. And if you think it's for you, then do it.
Man, so there you go, guys. It's amazing too because again, just to kind of see where you were, and I know that for some people it is a thing where we are empowering women and men. Don't worry about your size, but be bold with who you are, but you still want to be healthy at the same time. You know what I mean? It's and so hearing this from you and your experience, I really appreciate it. Lastly, I like to ask any entrepreneur that comes on: is there anything reading wise that you would recommend, or anything that you've read, or even dealing with this that you could maybe recommend to the listeners and viewers?
I definitely do not have nothing to recommend. I do apologize. However, I'm always looking for recommendations. So I'm always looking for books out there to read, self-help books, spiritual books, things like that, are most so on the lines of what I'm looking for. But not anything in particular right now, but I'm always on the lookout for it.
All right. Well, please let people know just where they can find you. If anybody has any more questions, maybe they're kind of contemplating that. Can you give your plugs where they can check you out?
Yeah, definitely. So you can check me out on Instagram at Nisha the Goddess. I also have another Instagram page called Fit for a Goddess, where I'm doing more workout videos, just showing you how I do my thing. And if you get motivated from watching the videos, maybe you can try some at home. Also, be on the lookout for my podcast. I don't know if you can curse on here. Can we?
We usually we can't keep it clean, but
It's AVSA. Just use your imagination to put the acronym together.
I think I
It
got
is
it. Yeah.
raw, yeah, it's raw and uncut. No, it is not holy. Although we're spiritual. But it is an open discussion, like a round table, and I hope that all of your listeners will check us out and definitely check out my IG page because I'm here to just motivate people to just be the very best that they can be, and whatever it is that you're looking for, hopefully I can be, maybe the page you'll grab that inspiration, that creativity from, and just soar. So yeah.
Guys, there you have it. And I really thank you for the time, Nisha. This was really great. And
I appreciate it.
hopefully, if you know somebody, any of my listeners, I know I got some faithful ones. If you know somebody that's maybe contemplating this and needs to just hear about it, again, she told you that her experience was a little more extreme. So, maybe not everybody will go through some hard things, but you see she's made it out, and it's really just the strength of will. And so looking for greater things. And I'm so glad to finally be able to talk to my social media friend. Now we can be for real friends.
Nice, right?
Yes, yes, it's been great. So I'm wishing much success to you.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, really quickly though, I remember a while back you had sent me a message,
Yeah.
and you had told me about a dream that you had had with me in it. And in that message, I still kept it because it has been part of my little, motivation or whatever to help me to keep pushing, because what you said in that text really helped me, like, form the person that I've becoming today. Because I'm like, dang, yeah, I can actually have that. Like, that's going to be me pretty soon. So I just keep that in the back of my mind. So every time I see you post, I'm like, oh, that's friend. That's right there.
So yeah, and I remember because it was really weird. Just I'll say it real quick, but again, somebody on social media, but you don't know them. We had never even talked, and
Yeah.
it was really crazy because I had a totally vivid dream. I know people are going to look at you and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure you was dreaming about her." It was not. I wasn't. It was crazy because it was just where you had this beautiful sprawling home, and and you were just entertaining everybody. Everybody was coming in, and it was so vivid. And so I remember waking up and I was like, man, God, how I'm gonna dream about somebody I ain't never even talked about. But I said, should I tell her about? I don't want to seem like a creep.
Yeah.
I said, and something was just like, just tell her, And so I remember when I said, yeah, I know this sounds crazy and all that, but this is what I dreamed. And your response really encouraged me because you were like, wow, that was amazing. And I'm glad you kind of, you're gonna be walking in that, and I'm gonna be glad to get that invite one day.
Yeah, right. You'll be the first one.
Yeah, for sure.
But thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, and much peace and blessings unto you. And guys, check us out, of course. Shareholders Podcast. You know where to find us on Instagram. Of course, Monty Mont. You can find me as well. We got more content. And Nisha, have a great day, and thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You too.
This has been a production of the Mighty Sharp Network. Executive producer is Monty Mont. Watch the corners and always stay sharp.
Breastplate of righteousness. Oh, feet fitted with the gospel of peace. Oh, belt of truth. Oh, oh, oh. She